Former presidential advisor Steve Bannon lashes out at the Catholic Church, saying it has an economic interest in unlimited immigration. He criticized the bishops and Cardinal Dolan during an interview for 60 Minutes, which will air on Sunday. Let's listen.
The Catholic Church has been terrible about this.
Okay, fair.
The bishops have been terrible about this. They need illegal aliens. They need illegal aliens to fill the churches.
Joining us now, Tim Carney, commentary editor of the Washington Examiner and visiting fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Tim, welcome back.
Thank you.
Is Steve Bannon going rogue?
Well, Steve Bannon has always been rogue, even when he was in the White House. And he has an interesting sort of history where he often does tap into sort of the teachings and the history of the Catholic Church because he sees it as a foundation of Western civilization. But on the other hand, I think his brand of politics deviates quite a bit from Catholic teaching on a handful of scores, and immigration is basically the center of that.
Is he more conservative than Donald Trump?
No, he's not more conservative. He's more populist. He was the one who saw populism as sort of the closest thing Trump had to a philosophy and tried to articulate it. But again, he often is on the same page as the Catholic Church, in part because he sees it as a bulwark against either a collapse of civilization or against Islam or something like that. But in this case, he looks at what he thinks is the U.S. national interest, the interest of the working man in America, and that's against more immigration coming in. Meanwhile, the Catholic Church teaches us, to be welcoming, and as we do to the least of our brothers, so we do to Jesus. And he sees, more importantly, the behavior of bishops being so in favor of pro-immigration policies, and he thinks that that's undermining the interests of Americans.
The Catechism says that we are to welcome the stranger with charity, but also respect borders. So by attacking the church here, and the majority of Catholics voted for Donald Trump, is he helping the president achieve his goal of ultimately finding an immigration reform?
No, I think it was a big misstep on Bannon's part. I think that most Americans' view on immigration is that we ought to be welcoming, but that immigration policy ought to look out for Americans and not be necessarily looking out for people in other countries. And that Bannon sort of attacking the churches, which is primarily just expressing a welcoming stance, I think further creates a schism.
Let's take a listen to what else he had to say.
I totally respect the Pope, and I totally respect the Catholic bishops and cardinals on doctrine. This is not about doctrine. This is about the sovereignty of a nation. And in that regard, they're just another guy with an opinion.
Will these attacks make life difficult for Donald Trump?
I think they can, because there have been a lot of Catholics who voted for Trump with lots of concerns, both about his personal life, whether he has a dedication to the pro-life view, all sorts of things, including immigration, and that they sort of held their nose and voted for him because the alternative was Hillary Clinton. They were worried about religious liberty, the Supreme Court. And if they see Trump having an antagonism to Catholic teaching, that'll make it a lot harder for them to hold their nose. But the point that Bannon makes that most politicians have ignored, is that sovereignty is really an important thing. And the Catholic Church has never challenged the right of a country to sort of set its own will, set its own borders.
Respecting borders, and that is in the Catechism.
And so if Trump can articulate how the teaching and the sovereignty go together, we'd be in a good place.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your insight. Tim Carney, commentary editor of the Washington Examiner.
Thank you.